Dallas police chief says the one arrest at last night's anti-ICE protests is evidence of the restraint his officers showed all night long. 27-year-old Gerardo Velasquez is charged with assault on a public servant. He was the only person charged and arrested. New police chief Daniel Como says his officers had to dodge water bottles and fireworks while responding to the protests in the Trinity Groves area. Tonight, the chief spoke about the protests during the police oversight board meeting, and Fox 4's David Centenry was at that protest last night and at the meeting this evening. David.
Yeah, these protests have centered around who ICE is arresting and their policies. They say they're following the policy set by the president of worst first, meaning they are targeting the more violent criminals. But an issue is that here in Dallas, we're not really getting that data from ICE. We've been reaching out for months trying to figure out how many people they've been arresting, for what crimes or what reasons, but that information is not being provided to us. Hundreds of protesters gathered at the Margaret Hunt Hill Bridge in Dallas Monday evening, angry at immigration and customs enforcement arrests happening across the country, some at court hearings and workplaces. Most of the night was peaceful. Some waved flags, some raised signs, some gave haircuts. But later in the night, Fox 4 saw water bottles thrown at officers, a lit firework. The chief of police says rocks were also thrown at officers. Police fired pepper balls in an effort to disperse the crowd. Ultimately, one person was arrested, 27-year-old Gerardo Velasquez, charged with assault on a public servant, bodily injury, and taking a weapon from a peace officer. The department says he was seen hitting the window of a fully marked squad car and became combative with officers.
One individual was arrested. Hopefully we can go with protests where no one's arrested.
Dallas Police Chief Daniel Como says no officers were injured and the department will prepare for additional protests.
And if the protests are done legally, we will be there to protect them and make sure that even the protesters are safe along with the community.
Chief Como introduced to City of Dallas's Community Police Oversight Board Tuesday. The board asked specific questions about Dallas PD's working relationship with ICE. The city attorney's office, however, prevented the chief from answering specific policy questions, saying that topic was not an agenda item.
And you can talk about introductory, broad umbrella.
What does that consist of?
You know, general stuff that you would do in an introduction, such as how long have you been a cop? Where did you come from? Those kinds of matters.
That's in his biography. We have that.
And what we want to know is how the police are going to be assessing these sorts of actions, how they're going to be assessing their relationship with federal officers, immigration, our federal partners.
Board member Allison Grinter-Allen anticipates more protests and says the board is awaiting an after-action report detailing last night's police response.
We're going to probably want to see it from different angles.
Immigration and illegal immigration policies under a nationwide microscope.
The system has been broken for a while. The difference now is that broken system is just geared towards one thing and one thing only, which is mass deportation.
Immigration attorney Hussein Sadruddin says the North Texas law firm he's worked at for more than 2 decades now sees a different type of enforcement.
But this is the first time we are seeing individuals who are seeking relief in legal way being targeted, people who are reporting to court. Also, we have individuals who have committed minor crimes, which would not ordinarily put them in removal proceedings, and they're being detained.
ICE Dallas has not provided specific data showing who is being arrested and why, but says it's in line with the president's policy of worst first. Today, Homeland Security said it will not be deterred by the protests, and instead it will be ramping up enforcement. Want to point out that we did reach out to ICE Dallas today requesting an on-camera interview. We did not hear back. We requested that yesterday as well and some data, but we were declined that opportunity. Also requested an on-camera interview today with Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, but his office declined us that opportunity. Steve, back to you.
All right. David Centenry, thank you. An FBI task force revealed its statewide operation in Texas led to nearly 250 arrests and the identification of more than 100 child victims. Federal and local authorities targeted alleged child sex criminals. Fox 4's Alex Boyer in tonight with more. Alex.
Hi, Steve. You know, when this operation first started a decade ago, it was a joint effort between a small group of cyber crimes against children investigators and the FBI Dallas office. Now it's a statewide operation, resulting in the arrest of 244 offenders this year. 11 were arrested in the Northern District of Texas.
Today we stand united, local, state, and federal law enforcement, with one clear mission: to protect our children and hold predators accountable.
Law enforcement officers from 70 different agencies, including the Dallas, Plano, Wylie, and Garland police departments, took part in a statewide operation that led to the arrest of 244 offenders charged with a variety of child sex crimes.
The number brings to light to the harm being done behind closed doors to our communities, and more specifically, our children.
Operation Soteria Shield was a month-long operation conducted in April. The goal was to identify children who are victims of online sexual exploitation and bring their perpetrators to justice. 109 children were identified and given resources. This operation was run in conjunction with the National Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Investigators were able to identify the victims through images and videos and arrest hundreds of suspects for the production, distribution, and possession of child sexual abuse materials.
Children today are at risk like they've never been in the past. Part of that is because of the increased access predators have to children, whether that be through online gaming platforms, social media, or other apps.
Two of the suspects highlighted at the news conference have North Texas ties. Harold Lee Hill was arrested in Rockwall, and Michael Huffman was arrested in Fort Worth. Details of his arrest were shared by the acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Texas.
When agents went to Huffman's home to execute a search warrant, they found him sitting in his driveway with his laptop open, with child pornography on display. By Huffman's own admission, he's been trading this sickening material for years.
So Nancy Larson, who you just heard from, says that her office ultimately charged 11 offenders, including Hill and Huffman. Now, if Huffman is found guilty of his charges, he faces up to 20 years in prison. And if Hill is convicted of his charges, I'm told he faces up to life in federal prison. Steve.
All right, Alex Boyer in our Dallas newsroom. Alex, thank you. Grand Prairie police identified the man accused of leading police on a chase, then stealing a police SUV and doing another chase. 22-year-old Kendrell Pickett here is now facing several charges, and this isn't his first run-in with the law. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager just got new video of this chase near the end of it. Peyton.
Hi, Steve. Just within the last few minutes, we received cell phone video of a driver who witnessed the Grand Prairie police cruiser crashing out. In the video, you can see this witness appears to be pulled over here on Interstate 30 as that cruiser goes by. Officers used spike strips, causing the police SUV to go over that embankment here on I-30. You have several officers and Dallas County Sheriff's deputies following up. Our cameras then caught the second arrest of 22-year-old Kendrell Pickett overnight. Take a look. Fox 4 cameras captured 22-year-old Kendrell Pickett being taken away in an ambulance after Grand Prairie police say he led officers on 2 overnight chases. During the second chase, investigators tell Fox 4 Pickett stole a police SUV while handcuffed. It all started just after midnight Wednesday. A Grand Prairie police officer tried to pull over a stolen Cadillac, driving erratically with no headlights on Interstate 20, but the Cadillac sped off. Pickett and another man, who has not yet been identified, eventually ditched the Cadillac and ran into a wooded area off the highway. Both men were located after police called in canine units and a helicopter. They were each handcuffed and put in 2 different police vehicles. Officers were waiting for paramedics to arrive because Pickett suffered a dog bite during the arrest. Police say that's when Pickett was able to shimmy his handcuffed hands from behind his back, under his legs, and then to the front of his body. Pickett climbed into the driver's seat of the police Tahoe that didn't have a partition and drove off, all while still handcuffed. Police then chased Pickett to Interstate 30 in Hampton Road. Officers used spike strips. The police Tahoe crashed out. Tire tracks show where Pickett lost control of the SUV down the service road. Officers dragged Pickett out of the vehicle, Pickett now faces half a dozen charges, including evading arrest, theft of a motor vehicle, and assault of a public servant. According to online court documents, Pickett was out on bond. The 22-year-old arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon in January in Tarrant County. His next court date for that case in Tarrant County was set for next week. And during these two chases overnight, no officers were injured. Again, a second man was arrested alongside Pickett, and we are still waiting for his name to be released by Grand Prairie Police. Steve?
All right. Peyton Yeager out along I-35 there tonight. Thank you very much. Wylie police say an 11-year-old boy found unconscious in his home showed signs of physical abuse before his death. I'm Steve Eager. Investigators arrested 4 of the victim's adult family members, and Fox 4's Stephen Dial has the latest on this case. Stephen.
Steve, there's still a lot we don't know, but Wylie investigators say all 4 of the suspects, as you mentioned, are family members of the 11-year-old boy, and they say that he had multiple bruises on his body. Monday, Wylie police were called to a home on Long Meadow Road for an unresponsive child. When EMS arrived, the 11-year-old boy had no pulse and was later pronounced dead at the hospital.
The child had multiple injuries on their body, physical injuries.
4 adults were arrested: the boy's grandfather, aunt, and 2 cousins.
The stories that the family members were giving us were inconsistent, and like I said, there were physical injuries on the young man when we found him. So that combination of factors led us to dig deeper to find out what exactly happened.
Investigators removed other children from the home. We don't know their ages or how many, but investigators say all of the children live there.
To see a young man lose his life from a family member, that's disgusting. It hurts us all. It brings pain to us all because there are other kids inside the house that have possibly heard or witnessed something, and so now they're stuck with this for the rest of their life.
And those people, the 4 adults who were arrested, they're facing 2 charges, but they could also face more charges as this investigation goes on. Again, the other children who were in the home are in CPS custody, and we are still awaiting court documents to learn more about this tragedy. Steve.
All right, we'll look forward to that information. Stephen Dial, live in Wylie. Thank you.
Police have gotten a break in a cold case murder of a woman in Irving. Megan Johns was killed in 1994, and the man they have in custody was her next-door neighbor. Fox 4's Dion Anglin has more on the case and reaction from her loved ones. Dion.
Hi there, Clarice. Well, this murder happened more than 30 years ago, and Irving police say that advanced DNA technology helped lead them to the man they believe killed 29-year-old Megan Johns. Well, the 61-year-old suspect was arrested Tuesday. His name, Daryl Patrick Goggins, and he is charged with capital murder. Detectives say in 1994, Goggins lived next door to the victim, Megan Johns, at an Irving apartment complex in the 3000 block of West Walnut Hill. In October of that year, Megan on an occasion did not show up for work, and after a request, staff at the complex performed a welfare check, and John's body was discovered. She'd been stabbed, her apartment ransacked. Goggins at the time was one of many people questioned, but due to lack of evidence, he was never considered a suspect. Police say with evidence from the crime scene and the work of a company that performed an advanced DNA process, the profile was revealed that eventually identified Goggins. John's sister and close friend reacted to the development, as well as an emotional detective who worked the case until his retirement.
I wish Megan was still here. It's just a great weight lifted off your shoulders, and her dad did not live to see this great day.
30 years, 8 months, 6 days later, we get an arrest, and having her family and friends all waiting, praying for this day to come says a lot about who Megan was more than anything. And Megan was a beautiful person, a beautiful soul.
Now, Goggins was arrested again Tuesday in Lancaster. Investigators say they do not have a clear motive in the case. One thing initially shared in '94 was there was no forced entry, which led police to believe Johns likely knew her killer. And Irving police today declined to answer questions about Goggin's criminal history. Our own search of public records reveals he is a known sex offender, including a Dallas case in which he was convicted and served time for aggravated sexual assault. That's the very latest live. Clarice, back to you.
Dion, thank you.
Well, the criminal case against Gateway Church founder Robert Morris is still pending in Oklahoma. This week, his accuser, who says the pastor sexually abused her as a child, filed a civil lawsuit. It's against both Morris and some Gateway Church leaders. Fox 4's Lori Brown is live in Dallas now with this story. Some big allegations in that court paperwork, Lori.
That's right, Casey. The lawsuit accuses the founder of Mega Church Gateway, along with his wife and church leaders, of covering up the abuse, along with defamation, slander, and libel.
I was abused by Robert Morris, then a traveling evangelist who was married with one child.
Cindy Clemishire did not want to speak on camera Friday about her lawsuit against influential Mega Church founder Robert Morris. But in March, she told lawmakers Morris sexually abused her repeatedly while staying at her family's home in Oklahoma, beginning on Christmas Day, 1982. She was just 12 years old.
He told me, and I quote, "You can never tell anyone because it will ruin everything."
While she says her abuse continued 5 more years, at age 17, she did tell someone. But according to her lawsuit, her victimization continued by Morris and those around him, who proceeded to blame her, a child, for the abuse. According to the lawsuit, Morris defamed her in June last year, saying, "When I was in my early 20s, I was involved in an inappropriate sexual behavior with a young lady in a home where I was staying." The lawsuit says he also called her abuse an extramarital affair and that she seduced him. Morris resigned as senior pastor of Gateway Church when Clemishire went public last year. In March, he was indicted for child sex abuse charges in Oklahoma and later pleaded not guilty. Clemishire also took her story to state lawmakers, calling for legislation to prevent abuse victims from being silenced through non-disclosure agreements, after she said Morris pressured her during a previous settlement negotiation. The legislation is now awaiting Governor Abbott's signature. Catherine Robb, director of the Children's Justice Campaign, says NDAs re-victimize survivors.
And so this shuts them down immediately.
Clemishire refused to sign an NDA, and now her lawsuit seeks more than $1 million in damages.
So it's the muscle of the civil law that allows survivors to come forward, to name their perpetrator, to get discovery. Now, discovery is great for everyone. The more we know about a bad acting institution or a hidden sexual predator within our community, the better it is for our children.
Gateway Church told us in an email that they have no comment. Robert Morris's attorney did not respond to my request for comment. Casey?
Cases that will continue to wind their way through the courts. Fox 4's Lori Brown live for us. Lori, thank you. A former Dallas Cowboy and current XFL player for the DC Defenders has been arrested, accused of driving drunk and causing a crash that killed a woman on a motorcycle. 25-year-old Kelvin Joseph Jr. turned himself into Richardson police early this morning, and according to the jail's website, he is still being held and his bond has not been set.
It was just before 5 Saturday morning when Richardson police responded to a motorcycle crash here in the 2400 block of North Central Expressway. Cops say the person riding the motorcycle, 27-year-old Cody Morris of Plano, was killed. More than 40 minutes later, police say they received a call from Kelvin Joseph Jr., who told them he'd been in the crash. Detectives ultimately determined Joseph and his BMW sedan were involved in a collision with the motorcycle. According to arresting officers, Joseph, quote, showed signs of intoxication. He has been charged with driving while intoxicated and collision involving death. Kelvin Joseph was drafted out of Kentucky by the Dallas Cowboys in the second round of the 2021 draft. In 2023, the cornerback went on to play with the Miami Dolphins. In 2022, he was featured on Fox 4's Trackdown, following a deadly shooting outside a club on Lower Greenville Avenue. Joseph was in a car with a suspected gunman the night 20-year-old Cameron Ray was murdered. But more than 4 months after the shooting, Joseph was cleared of any wrongdoing. Still in shock, some of the victim's friends didn't want to be on camera Saturday, but did confirm to Fox 4 these videos posted to the victim's social media show Cody Morris living her best life on the back of a bike.
All right, so the Defenders do have a conference championship game tomorrow. Fox 4 reached out to both the team and the league for comment, but nobody got back with us. No lawyer is currently listed for Kelvin Joseph.
Dallas police are investigating a possible case of jugging that left a man without thousands of dollars. A Mesquite small business owner says he went to the bank, then went to run another errand when a man stole the cash out of his vehicle. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager live with more on exactly how that all went down. Peyton.
Hi, Steve. This afternoon, we spoke with Chris Robles of Mesquite. He owns a workout gym. Just a few days ago, he took out $5 grand in cash for new workout equipment. He then believes he was being followed. The scariest part for him, his 15-year-old daughter was with him.
I didn't have any idea of anybody following me. Everything was just very normal.
Just before noon Friday, Chris Robles withdrew $5,000 in cash from this Pleasant Grove Chase Bank near Masters and Lake June Road. He walked back out to his car, cash envelope in his pocket. Then Robles drove 4 miles to pick up a U-Haul at the corner of Jim Miller Road and CF Hahn Freeway, right across the street from Dallas PD's Southeast Patrol Division. He went inside U-Haul while his 15-year-old daughter waited in the vehicle.
As soon as I walked in the door, I got a phone call from my daughter, and she's yelling, "Somebody's in the car." I originally thought she said somebody hit the car. So I ran out there immediately, and I saw her crying.
Robles says his daughter later told Dallas officers a man in his late teens, early 20s with a black ski mask on took the cash from the center console. The teenager says she was able to snap this quick photo of the suspect vehicle, a gray Honda sedan, a picture she sent over to Dallas police.
She's 15 years old, and I'm glad she's here today, you know what I mean?
Dallas police confirmed to Fox 4 they're investigating the robbery and still looking for the suspect or suspects involved. The tactic of following someone from a bank or business to steal cash is called jugging. A new Texas law, House Bill 1902, aims to crack down on the growing crime trend. Now, suspects are charged with burglary or robbery. But starting September 1st, jugging is its own crime and can carry steeper penalties if the offense escalates. Meanwhile, Robles is still focused on growing his gym, Grind Hard Fitness, even with the unplanned and dangerous money setback.
Money comes and goes, but, you know, you can't replace a person.
So Dallas investigators collected fingerprints off of Robles' vehicle. Also, Robles told by Dallas investigators that there are security cameras at that intersection off CF Hahn Freeway. So hopefully they will be able to get a license plate. Again, no one has been arrested. At the end of our interview, Robles told me actually that afternoon he was trying to be careful. He didn't go to the ATM outside. He went inside to get the cash from a teller, but he still feels like he was being targeted. Steve?
Yeah, that was the question I was going to ask. So he went, usually we've seen this happens at an ATM, but he actually went inside to be careful and it still happened. Okay.
He's actually heard of this crime trend before. He told me, so he went inside to get the cash personally from a teller, but he believes either he was being watched inside or outside because as he was walking out, he slipped it in his pocket.
All right. We all need to be careful. Extra layer now. Okay. Peyton, thanks. A man is facing capital murder charge for allegedly sneaking abortion pills into his pregnant girlfriend's drink. 38-year-old Justin Banta is also facing a tampering charge in Parker County. The woman lost her baby 2 days after consuming that drink at a coffee shop. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager has more from investigators tonight. Peyton.
Steve, the woman told detectives she and Banta had been dating for a month when she got pregnant. She told the detectives that Banta encouraged and offered to help her get an abortion. Now, this coffee meetup, that took place in Benbrook, but the miscarriage took place in Parker County. So that's why the Parker County Sheriff's Office started this months-long investigation, also involved with the Texas Rangers. At this Benbrook coffee shop, investigators believe 38-year-old Justin Banta secretly slipped an abortion-inducing drug in his pregnant girlfriend's drink without her consent. The woman reported the incident to authorities, saying she lost the fetus a few days after the coffee meetup. Monday, the Parker County Sheriff's Office announced Banta was arrested Friday and charged with capital murder and tampering with evidence. Newly obtained court documents detail the 8-month-long investigation. The woman told detectives back in October Banta purchased Plan C abortion medication over the internet for her. But the woman told Banta she intended on keeping the baby. On October 16th, the woman said she had a sonogram in Weatherford where the baby appeared to be healthy and approximately 6 weeks along. She agreed to meet Banta at the Black Rifle Coffee Company off Benbrook Boulevard to discuss the pregnancy. The woman said she consumed a drink Banta purchased before she arrived. The next morning, she went into the emergency room after falling ill, where she was advised to expect a full miscarriage. Banta agreed to an interview at the Parker County Sheriff's Office, where investigators say he admitted to purchasing Plan C on his phone and also agreed to hand over his phone. But investigators say at some point Banta reset his cell phone remotely. They say Banta works in the IT department at the U.S. Department of Justice. Fox 4 spoke with attorney Russell Wilson, who is not affiliated with the case. He says prosecutors must have evidence to corroborate the woman's statement, including scientific evidence.
May have video from the patrons coming in, receipts from either purchase of the pills or purchase of the coffees at the store, and perhaps even, the coffee cup.
And Banta bonded out of the Parker County Jail the same day he was arrested. That was on Friday. His bond was set at $520,000. Steve?
All right, Peyton Yeager reporting. Thanks. Several families in Parker County are now suing over a child abuse investigation involving a special needs student at Millsap ISD. 3 staffers were arrested, including the superintendent. None of them work for the district anymore, and Fox 4's David Santandri has been following the story from the beginning and has more on this lawsuit. David.
Yeah, Steve, Millsap is a town about 50 miles west of Fort Worth, a small town made up of only about 500 people. So you might say everyone knows everyone, but this story has certainly been making its rounds across North Texas.
We just want to make sure that this can't happen to anybody else.
Carissa Cornelius now suing Millsap ISD in Parker County and 4 former employees claiming her nonverbal autistic boy was abused at the elementary school.
I said come here.
Employee whistleblower video from February shows Cornelius' son Alex being yelled at, swatted at, and repeatedly hit with a toy. Cornelius shared the video with Fox 4, believing district officials were not taking it seriously.
Before that, absolutely not. It took me going to the news to get people to start listening.
After our story aired, the 2 educators in the video, Jennifer Dale and Paxton Bean, were criminally charged. So was Superintendent Edie Martin for allegedly failing to report allegations to law enforcement and CPS. All 3 defendants in the lawsuit. Millsap Elementary Principal Roxy Carter, also a defendant in the lawsuit. Carter is Paxton Bean's mother. The lawsuit claims Carter allowed the abuse to continue until it was finally brought to light. Carter submitted her resignation in May. However, she likely will not face criminal charges. Wednesday, the Parker County Sheriff told Fox 4, "We've concluded our investigation."
I personally feel like if she failed to report, she should also be charged.
The lawsuit claims Superintendent Martin and Principal Carter brushed the matter under the rug and instead contacted a law firm, seemingly more concerned about legal repercussions than ending documented child abuse.
I think we are going to get some justice.
After Cornelius came forward, 2 other parents did the same, and additional charges followed. Those 2 parents joined in on the lawsuit. Allegations include locking children in unlit closets for extended periods of time, assaulting children with their hands, objects, and other forceful measures, as well as verbal abuse.
Use this as an example to other districts that it is not okay to cover up the abuse of our children.
Cornelius says since removing Alex from Millsap Elementary, he's achieving milestones.
Totally different as far as his education goes. He actually wrote his name, and I went and got it tattooed on my arm because I never thought he would write his name.
Since we began reporting on this story, Millsap ISD has now established a nepotism policy. Today, the district says it has not yet been served with that lawsuit. Steve, back to you.
All right, David Centenary reporting. David, thank you. The Dallas Parks Department was able to reinstall a vandalized historical marker memorializing the lynching of Alan Brooks in 1910.
However, it is only a temporary fix until the damaged marker can be replaced. Fox 4's Lori Brown is live in Dallas with the story. Lori.
Heather, the president of the Dallas County Justice Initiative said that it was important to get the marker back up quickly and especially before Juneteenth. But the permanent repairs are expected to take 3 more months.
On March 3rd, 1910, a 59-year-old black handyman named Alan Brooks was lynched by a white mob at this intersection.
The Dallas Parks Department managed to stand back up the historical marker memorializing the lynching of Alan Brooks. The temporary blue spray paint drawing the attention of people like Danae Woods, who has passed by the sign before but never stopped to read it.
Members of the mob broke into the courtroom, seized Mr. Brooks from law enforcement officers, tied a rope around his neck, and threw him from the 2nd floor window of the courthouse. I got literally goosebumps right now.
Brooks was dragged by the lawless mob at several blocks to Main and Ackard Streets. This is where he was hanged from a telephone pole in front of 5,000 onlookers.
No one was ever held responsible for the lynching of Alan Brooks. It's probably one of the most disturbing things I've read in a long time.
Dr. Ed Gray is president of the Dallas County Justice Initiative. He is spearheading the effort to get a permanent replacement for the sign.
Downtown Dallas Incorporated found the sign a couple of feet behind us.
The original marker was vandalized about 4 weeks ago. Gray says someone removed it from its base. Gray says the cast iron and aluminum sign would not be easy to carry far.
For someone to go ahead and vandalize the sign and then move it 30 feet away, that took effort. So this wasn't just a matter of just knocking a sign down. They were making a statement.
Gray says the sign was sheared off, indicating the vandals had a tool to make the cut. But with no clear motive and no identified suspects, the Dallas Police Department is not treating it as a hate crime.
What are your thoughts about that?
Those are my thoughts about that.
Right. It's somewhat unbelievable.
I find it unbelievable.
Gray wants whoever took the sign down to know they will never be able to hide history.
We can never forget, because if we choose to forget, we're moving to a place in our history that I dare say would be even more troublesome than it happened to Alan Brooks.
This is just a sharp reminder that, you know, we still have a lot and a long ways to go, especially if people are vandalizing history this way.
The Dallas Police Department has not yet made any arrests in the case. Their investigation is ongoing. Heather.
Lori Brown, thank you.
A lawsuit has been filed over a shooting scare at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center during a cheerleading competition. Loud noises sent people running during the 2025 National Cheerleaders Association All-Star National Championships in March. Hundreds of people claim they were injured during the chaotic escape and evacuation. Now, several people are filing a lawsuit accusing organizers of failing to provide proper security. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is in Dallas tonight with more. Amelia.
Steve, the lawsuit was filed on behalf of several people who were injured when that chaos ensued at the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center during the All-Star National Cheerleading Championships in March. While they are asking for more than $1 million in damages, the lawsuit was filed with the intent to create changes in security measures for large-scale events. The management group for the Kay Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center, plus the cheerleading company Varsity Brands and Varsity Spirit, are facing a lawsuit over the All-Star National Championship competition. Video from that March weekend shows the mass pandemonium as thousands ran in every direction when word spread of a potential active shooter. Dallas police concluded there was no active shooter. It started as a fight between two parents that knocked over several poles and created the loud bangs.
How the stampede began and how the crowd crush started is not really what's relevant. What's relevant is what they did and they didn't do after the crowd crush started.
Ashley Schwartz is an attorney representing the victims in the case. The lawsuit says during the stampede of thousands, her clients suffered broken bones, severe head injuries, and some were separated from their children or parents for hours. It describes one parent who had a stampede of attendees running toward her. She fell and lost consciousness and suffered 2 brain bleeds. The lawsuit also describes a 13-year-old girl who got her hand stuck in a door, which required surgery. She was separated from her team and hid underneath a semi-truck.
Just because you weren't shot does not mean that you don't have an injury.
Schwartz says her clients are seeking over $1 million in damages that would go toward medical bills and mental health treatments. But the lawsuit was filed to highlight alleged inadequate security measures that were in place during the event.
People got trampled, and Varsity and the convention center were not ready for it, and they were not equipped and didn't follow through on their basic duty to provide safety to the patrons at their events.
Schwartz believes this won't be the last lawsuit filed about this incident. She says hundreds have reached out with their own complaints. She hopes it has an impact and creates change when it comes to safety at these large-scale events.
This massive stampede of thousands and thousands of people happened, and because no one was shot, we just said, oh, it was no big deal. And that's part of the purpose of the case, is to show that it is a big deal and that these kind of things can be prevented and should be prevented.
We reached out to all of the defendants in this case, including Varsity Brands and Varsity Spirit, the company who puts on the cheer competitions. We asked if they had any statement or comment regarding the lawsuit. We are still waiting to hear back from all of them. Steve, back to you.
All right, Amelia Jones in Dallas. Amelia, thank you.